And in the last couple of years, that work turned mostly to change management and how we can adapt our organizations when there is so much disruption, uncertainty going on. How can we make our systems agile, our mindset and culture so easy to adapt to change? So that is my area. We call it reinvention. So my area is mostly change management and reinvention. When you do that, a big part of the work is setting up goals, setting up visions, strategy, and strategy activation. When I say strategy activation, it is the action part of it. So making play, the execution, the implementation part of it. So designing is good, planning is a must, but if we come and stop at that, and so many times, if you're coming from organizational world, you know that all these strategy meetings, planning meetings happen, and all these brainstormings happen, and then you put them in a folder and put it on the shelf until next year. So I just really try not that to happen in the organization. So that is why strategic planning is critical and is the first step, but strategic doing is what makes things happen. So in the visioning role that I do, I work with clubs. We go there and do their visioning sessions for 4.5 hours. And then after that, they just start building their master plans according to the priorities, according to the votes and what came out of that. And I know you that part. You did that already. And then they just look at those ideas, turn them into goals, and each goal has its own action steps. So the same process, I guess, you went through. When Doug sent me some documents, I just looked at them and I just had the same thing over here. But what got my attention is in 2019, the club, created an action plan and about engagement, membership, and community awareness. When I look at this action plan, I'm telling you, this is impressive. At that time, the club members did a great job, but stop there. So I think you don't need to duplicate the work. You already put some steps as ideas, goals, but the action steps and the measurables are missing on this one. So if you just kind of look at what you came up with, when did you have your visioning session?
December.
This past December.
Yeah.
So it's not that far back, actually. Okay. So what I would suggest, I don't know I don't know, maybe you send me the outcomes of that, but I don't have it with me. Doesn't matter. But maybe around the same. But exactly the same work you did in 2019 is the work that needs to be done. But my question, before even going into that, why it didn't happen? What stopped that momentum? I really want to understand that, because sometimes when I talk with the clubs, now I'm seeing more and more, some clubs are so eager to take action, they hardly wait to start. People they're just kind of picking up the tasks and the accountabilities, like, I can do that, this committee do that, we will do that. There is that energy. Some clubs, it's not that much. So I just want to ask you guys as the club, where are you at with that motivation, with that energy, with believing in that this will make the change in the club, that consensus? So I think that is the part that the conversation needs to start and go from there. If there is some kind of a blockage there, known or unknown, that needs to come out, and the engagement becomes the top priority more than the membership if there is any blockage in that area. So it's really, you need to talk and I need to listen a little bit in that case. Because this is a great plan. Or the ones that you did in December. Then what happened? Because it's a process, it needs to continue.
John?
I was trying to find it for you. I'm sorry for the number.
Yeah.
Well, but did someone answer the question?
Yes.
See, I just joined about the same time as you.
Oh, yeah.
So these guys have all been here long before me.
Yeah, I'm not questioning anything, but
Right.
my curiosity is because
What
maybe
makes it stop?
what makes it stop?
From
Because
2019 to now.
or you did this in December, and we are almost in April, and nothing happened.
Yes.
So what is the? Don't go to 2019, maybe that far, but now.
I'm gonna bring them back together because they do marry each other. That thing. 2019 to now, we had lots of things happening in our society. Was everything that's happening, and that's made us stop. And we had lots of our own people that changed over, and we felt that the board felt, okay, like we did this correct, but we kind of forget about it, and then there's a new people that joining us, and they don't know about it. So we start up a new one with the board approval, say, okay, let's do another one so we can be fresh and do it.
Yeah.
So we did that one, and January, February, and March till April, our club does the biggest fundraising, which is the fish fry. So most of our energy, because we are a small club too,
Yeah.
and those are not excuses, those are the fact, because we are a small club, most of our energy goes toward that because we want to make a little bit of money. So this way we are in position to spend that money on good causes, rotating causes. So that's what it is. We didn't forget it. We kind of prolonged looking at it. But we always, in the back seats, we had Doug always putting the heat on it. Okay, guys, bring it back to the forward, everything, right? And that's where you're coming in. We say, okay, we get to this level. Maybe now you can give it to us in small pieces so we can digest it and then go on with it.
Exactly, because you, as I said, I can't remember this year's detailed plan, but I'm just kind of talking about 2019 one. I'm talking about, let's say, the engagement part of it. So, for example, over there, because these are repeating the same work, it is waste of time. If you already did it, just take it from here and continue. Oh, perfect. Okay, thank you. So, I'm just going to look at over here. Attributes was club service and admin. I'm looking at that at this point. This is your most recent one. As an example. So, there you go. Membership size 25 and target fundraising 100,000. I will just suggest something. I suggest this to all my clubs too. When you are setting up goals, make those goals in ranges. Membership size 25. If you do 24, what does that mean? You couldn't hit the target. But 24 is a good number too. So if you just give your goals, any kind of goal, we're going to increase our membership between 10 to 15%. We're going to increase our members from between 23 to 27. You know what I'm saying? Because anytime you make it happen between those ranges, you hit the goal. And from the motivational piece of it, from the human perspective of it, when you give ranges, I'm going to lose in the first month 2 to 4 kilos, let's say. If I lose 2, gain, 3, gain, 4, gain. But if I say I'm going to lose 4 kilos, and if I just do only 3.5 kilos, I don't hit my goal. You see how it makes a difference in the reaching the goal, achieving the goal piece of it, and motivates people. So I would suggest whenever you're setting up your goals, percentage-wise, number-wise, dollar-wise, your fundraising goals, just make it in a reasonable range. So we can accept this as the minimum, and this is good as the maximum. Anything in between, we did it. So that mentality is very important when setting up goals. Just keep that in mind. This is what I work with a lot of my clients, teaching them to set up in ranges. Okay, so it just came to me, so I just said. And target fundraising 100,000. If you do 99,999, it doesn't hit the goal. But if you just say we're going to do from 85,000 to 100,000, anything, and you're going to identify that lower limit, what is acceptable, where you really want to go. So that is one thing. But for example, membership size 25. How is that going to happen? That is where the action plan is. I'll just get up there a little. So when it is 25 members, and in the beginning we are doing 3-year plans, which I agree, but I don't agree. Yeah. So visioning process asks you to, thank you so much. Thank you. Visioning process asks you to make the plan for 3 years. It doesn't mean we're going to go 3 years after in 2027 and we're going to look how we did it. After each year, year 1, that is why visioning is not a one-time project. Visioning is an ongoing process. You are going to look at the end of the first year, you're going to look at your goals, yeah? And then you say maybe some of the changes you want to apply is not going to finish in a year. So you're saying maybe in the second year we're going to have project number 2 finish. This is project number 1. And project number 3 actually will start in year 2 and will continue year 3. This is again the third project. So whatever the size of the project, so if you're saying you're going to increase your membership by 10 members, 10, maybe you're going to then target, we're going to increase 3 in the first year, 3 in the, and 4 in the last year. Then you're going to come back and check at the end of the first year, did we do 3? Hey, actually, things happened, and now we have 4 people. Beautiful. Then let's go again, the 3 over here. So this can be 3 because you're trying to kind of make that minimum to meet. If you go above that, good for you. But then you're going to look at it again. What did we do here that worked really well? So which one can we repeat in year 3, and which one can repeat in year 3 too? So always keeping an eye on what you are setting up all the time. Yeah? That is why at the end of each year, it should be a standard operational procedure to review your strategy, to see where you're at. It is, and again, do a visioning session. Now you know how to do it. Again, go through that process and do your votings and everything and see if you are still, if the priorities are still the same, or if there are emerging needs in the community, things are changing, economy change, you really want to focus on some other area because it needs an urgent addressing, support. So when you start visioning, it's not one time we're done. And what I really recommend to the clubs is when you are doing your reviews, some clubs do it every month at the end of their monthly meeting, or one of the meetings they do every month, 5 minutes. Take out the plan. Okay, what needed to be done this month? Oh, we had 3 things. So membership committee, there was these under your accountability. How did that go? Yeah, we were able to do these 2, but we're still working on 3. Do you need help? Are you stuck with that? No, we're moving on, but we are just moving along. Okay, perfect. So just go to the other one, just say community services committee. These were the things that came from our visioning, some priorities that your committee took over. How is it going? Because you said this needed to be done this month, and this, did you meet with 2 people in the corporate to get some corporate membership, for example? Because you just said that we have this company, we're gonna go and have a talk. We couldn't do that, we couldn't reach. Anybody in the room know anyone from that company that can build that connection? Oh, I know somebody. Okay, then why don't you help them? So keeping an eye on the plan and keep reviewing it. Because, yeah.
So I think one of the concepts of the strategic doing, as we learned and as you've reinforced, is your target may not be reached in 30 days, but every 30 days you have to review your trend.
Exactly.
And when you're setting your goals and targets, then you break it down in 30-day increments, month by month.
Yeah.
So don't go 3 months before you find out the person hasn't done it. You need to know within 30 days and take corrective action to get traction. So I think what you explained to me and we learned is you address it at 30 days, at 60 days, at 90 days. So you make sure you're taking bite-sized chunks. Don't wait for 90 days to find out the person didn't do anything.
Exactly, because the earlier you can catch the barrier or the issue, the easier you can remove it. If it is longer than that and things are not happening, they're missing their timeline, they're just missing, and then you're just coming after 6 months. So how did it go? Well, we couldn't do it. What do you mean you couldn't do it? Well, because we got stuck over there. Oh, we wish we would know that. Then we could remove it, we could help with it, or maybe, because in these changing environments, in the past, this was how the deliberate strategy was going. To go from point A to point B, there was one way. In the long cycles, when change is not this fast, when the conditions were not changing this much, when we had all the time, change was once in a lifetime thing in 1950s organizations. Nothing was happening. So when you put your product out there, when you put anything, your services out there, things are going the same. So you really do not need to keep an eye on it because nothing is really impacting it. But in today's world, everything is impacting. So this is deliberate strategy. We're not there anymore. Now we are in an emergent strategy according to the situation. We're going to adapt our strategy because this is not going to work anymore. If something is changing, maybe we're going to go this way. Oh, it's changing again. We're going to go this way. And you can only do that if you keep an eye on it. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
So how do we get, I'm going to say the engagement, or I'm even going to use the word commitment. So we never really got any other answers why we didn't get traction before, but in my mind, we didn't, the fish fry isn't taking every minute of every day. It is now because we're 30 days away. But back in December, January, and February, it wasn't.
Yeah.
And I do believe that one of the hindrances we have is that Peter, our president, was away in Panama for 6 weeks, and I was away for 4 weeks, but I don't think that means the rest of the club can't carry on without us.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, because the president's not around, that's not a reason why everything needs to stop, or because I'm not around, it doesn't need to stop. So we have to somehow give encouragement to the rest of the members to carry on without us, so to speak.
Exactly.
And I think the other one is that we've got like 3 or 4 older members. So when it comes to membership, I think they feel, well, they don't have a way to help because they're old and their friends are old. And we already identified before that we're targeting 35 to 45-year-old young business and professional people. So they don't feel as though they can make a contribution. But I think, if they think about where they go to buy their groceries or their clothes or get their car fixed or their dentist or their doctor, they're still in
the community.
In the community.
Yeah.
And I know we've struggled with that one. So we just got to figure out how do we get the traction and get the members believing in the process and committing to the process.
Right, I'm glad you brought those one, because one thing that Nurdan was saying, you refer back or you gauge back or you review back with committees. Our challenge, I think, one, we don't have those committees, and number two, because we don't have enough people to make those committees. So the committee becoming like 2-3 people, and the 3 people, 2 of them are gone, which is you and Peter. So the committee end up to be half a person or 1 person or 2 people only.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge that we don't know how to overcome.
Exactly. So these things cannot be put on one person's shoulders. Maybe people will do multiple.
We know that, but when you are a small club, how do you do it? That's what we want to do.
So that is what it is. One thing, you are going to be very realistic when you're making your plan. How much can we do? Because we're a small club, because the workforce in the club is very limited, that is our reality. Then we're going to adjust what we are committing to do according to that reality. So if you just start kind of having all these plans and 6 different projects, 8 different projects, and there's only a handful of people, it's so obvious, realistically, it's not going to happen. So first you need to stick with the fact. We have a small club, and we have these committees. What kind of committees do we have in the club, or you don't have it?
We have one, basically big one, the community table.
Okay, so maybe this is a kind of a opportunity to, because membership will need some work, yeah, to bring members. And when you do your action plan, if you have a group of people which are excited about, in a volunteer work, I need to be motivated, excited to do work. It's not my job. I'm not getting paid for it. If I'm not excited about it, if it doesn't mean anything to me, then I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it. I'll come, have my dinner, pay my money, and go back.
That's what happens.
Yeah. So how can that motivation, that excitement can be created? One thing, workload scares people. If you have a lot of things that you are planning to do, people are going to say, oh my God, what am I, how can we do it? Forget it, it's all on me and I'm not getting into it. But that's a normal reaction. So that is why when we talked that time on Zoom, I just suggested you need to prioritize. So if we're going to look for members, if that is our biggest goal, then we're going to have a group of people who would like to work on this, who's excited about bringing. The whole club should be excited about bringing new members. If there is not that motivation, then what is behind it? That is what I'm trying to get at. If people do not kind of say, I don't know, I don't have time, and cannot come together to increase the membership or bring ideas how to, then what is stopping them? What is not happening? Because if you cannot get that barrier, you cannot do any of these. Visioning cannot happen if people do not come to a consensus and get excited about things and understand the importance of it. Is this club important to you? Or if in a couple of years, if it disappears, is it okay? Both answers are fine. There is no wrong answer in this. But the club needs to come to a consensus on that. Do we want our club to get stronger, bigger, and have an impact? I'm too old for that. That's fine. And we have those kind of members. But we just ask them their past experience, that's how they contribute. Sometimes they just say, hey, you know what, at that time we had that kind of thing happen, so just to let you, maybe those conversations are their contributions. They did their service. So if they don't want to do it anymore, we cannot push them. That is why young group needs to come in. That's why the membership is becoming critical, because you need to feed it. But it's not a bad thing the other people are not. It's not that they're doing something wrong.
Mhm.
You know what? If I'm in Rotary for 40 years and work my butt off to do work, and if I know I want to come and sit and just have the social, it's my right.
Yeah.
We need to accept that.
May I interject
Of
something
course,
here?
please.
I know, Doug, someone mentioned that, well, we make goals, but we don't make progress toward them, and I'm not so sure that's true. Remember when we were in the previous venue, which was basically the back of an indoor golf club?
Yeah.
It was noisy, it was a place where you couldn't really invite anybody. And we were starting to do visioning unofficially, even back then. So what did we say? First of all, we gotta go to a better venue that's more professional, number one. Number two, we have to start increasing our membership. Well, here we are. And I think if you take a picture of this assembly right now, it looks a whole lot more professional, even in spite of this. Sorry, I didn't have time. I was working all day on this fish fry today, so I didn't have time to change. But we do look a lot more professional. We have made progress, but we make progress slowly. We don't make it from one day to the next. And we have 3 new members that joined to this club, and Ricky decided he'll go to the other club because the hours fit more his schedule. Another engineer again. And we have a group of volunteers, and I've been going through the names and who each volunteer is, and there's at least 10 people there that I would love to have them join us. Okay, we are working on that.
Okay,
But
good,
we're not,
perfect.
it doesn't happen overnight.
No, it will
Okay.
not.
And this is what frustrates a lot of people is that, well, we gotta get these things done. Well, yeah, but do it systematically, step by step. If you try to accomplish everything all at once, you'll be frustrated and accomplish nothing.
It will be burnout. The burnout will happen, people will get frustrated, and the results are not gonna come right away, and that will say, oh my God, we're working and nothing's happening. Okay, I gave up, this is not working. That is so easy to come to that state of mind. So, it is a marathon. Think it as a marathon. It's not a sprint.
It's an interesting word.
Marathon. It's a marathon. It needs long, how do you call it? Breath for long distance. We need to use our energies very smartly in the clubs, so we can just keep going. We need to celebrate small wins in between. Oh my God, this was something we really accomplished.
Yes.
We did it, guys. Celebrating those. Those are the things that will keep going and increase people's motivation, especially in volunteer environments.
I'm sorry, can I?
Of course, please go ahead.
So, I think the first approach you adopted was kind of like a root cause.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
the goals that are set were not met.
Yeah.
I just thought about it, 2 things. Number one, don't we need to look at the past growth? Say like, one of the goals that say 25.
Yeah.
So what has it been in the past 5 years? How has the membership, the growth been in the past 5 years?
Yeah.
So has it declined?
Yeah.
Because if it has declined and you're saying you want 25,
Yeah.
over the past 10 years, have we had such like a 25% increase?
Yeah.
So those are like factors that we should first put into consideration, because if in the past 5 years we've actually had a decline, let's talk of a constant membership.
Yeah.
Then apparently we need to first address why are we having a shortage.
Yeah.
Then what can we do to first balance off before we can now think of the growth. And also I think following what, just an addition to what Mike said, I think we're having growth, we are making progresses, but I think documentation, how we kind of document our growth or our whatever we have to do, our achievement, I think is one thing probably that is missing, because it's not what is communicated and people don't really kind of see those small goals. Because one of the things he mentioned now that achieving this move, I was there, I was just a attending member then, and in reality, it happened.
Yeah.
But we don't even communicate it. We don't even say it. There's no way it's actually being monitored.
Yeah.
And I think you've emphasized on the monitoring and controlling part of
Yeah.
every process activity,
Exactly.
project lifecycle.
Yeah, it needs a little bit structure. It just cannot happen. Let's do it. So first of all, if it is a membership you are working, if it is one thing that you really, and I guess, yeah, that is a one high priority one among all this, because you need to bring new members, because your elderly members or more senior ones are kind of pulling out, and you have a good to-do list that you want to achieve, then you need to bring people. So in the action plan, and for data collection and analysis of the data is important. And maybe you should take that role in this club on yourself, just going back 5 years, 10 years now, because your background and what you're doing is all about statistics and all that, asset management. So, am I wrong?
So we have that data, we can print it out
Yes.
on Club Runner.
Yeah. Just
Our
have a look
Rotary
at it.
provides
Just
that.
have a look at it and
And
see.
accessibility is also another thing.
Yes.
So how many people have access to those information? How are those information? Are they still in a very analog form
Absolutely.
or data accessible form?
And you know what, those structures, but as I said, these are not overnight things. Very good ideas, but it needs action plan. So from one side, you can just say, hey, this club's data collection, analysis, the reports, all that, where is it gathered? It shouldn't be under somebody's computer. There should be a cloud folder where it is the Rotary Woodstock, and all this information needs to be there. So when he goes, he can see. President goes, president. You can give access to people to what they can see and what they cannot. But it is just important to communicate those. And maybe in one of the meetings for 5 minutes, then you can just get up and say, hey, for the membership, I have some information for you, how it went in our club. And you can just kind of talk about that. So the club really knows. Transparency and communication in the visioning is so critical. I don't know if you can recall, there's one slide in the visioning session where it says consensus, continuity, and one more C, consensus, continuity, and consistency. So these three are very important, 3 important things for a visioning. People need to have consensus on what needs to be done. It shouldn't be changing with when president change every year, because these are longer term plans. So I cannot come as a new president and say, you know what, that's crap, put it aside, I'm gonna have my own. No, visioning is gonna stop this. So that's why it is so important to hug this visioning idea, because it is not anymore the president's goal. It is not anymore that 1 year what I want to do. No, the club is, this is the sustainability. This is the continuity of the clubs. And it cannot be based on only that year's president, next year's president, then next year's president. Even in the countries, it is just shaking the country when the prime minister changes or president changes in the next door, that they do different things and the strategies just become upside down and they can't go forward. So those 3 are very important, but connecting those 3 is communication.
We left out the word leadership.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
May I take an example from history?
Yeah.
In 1919, my compatriots invaded her country, and they were doing whether.
I'm Turkish, he's Greek.
Yes,
Yeah.
they were
That's
good
why
friends here.
we have a history.
Yes, so what happened for, like, her country would have disappeared. Obviously, all the citizens that were being, attacked by our army, they wanted to fight back. When did they fight back? When someone came up and said, everyone get together, organize them. Ataturk means, it's a word that means the father of the Turks. His name was actually Mustafa Kemal. When he rose up and provided leadership, he motivated people to go to their deaths, to fight the enemy, and they threw us in the sea. which they should have.
He is the
Congratulations,
founder
brother.
of Turkish Republic.
But
That's
what I'm
how
saying
the
is
Turkish Republic-
without,
Yeah.
without that. it doesn't
Leadership
happen.
is very important because the leader is the engine of the train,
Thank you.
pulling the train.
Thank you.
So if that engine is not there, the cars will be wobbling.
Mhm.
So if we want that speed and
But the key to that, the leader should lead from behind.
yeah,
Because if the people don't know where the train is going, they don't wanna get on the train.
that's
The
why
leader should be-
Or if the
communication.
train is going to Owen Sound, but they wanna go to Windsor, they don't wanna get on the train. And if the train is going too fast or too slow around the curves and they get scared, they're gonna
Exactly.
wanna get off the train.
That's why communication.
Yeah.
Both ways. From the members to the leadership, from the leadership to the members. That's a must. So, okay, so we're getting a little bit sidetracked on that. But when you're doing your action plan, let me get into that. It is a very detailed work. So, the first task, I'm just talking about the membership. Let's do the membership. So, the first task is, and goal is, increase membership (15 to 20% in 3 years. Okay, that is our goal. We said in the visioning session the idea, because the visioning session helps you to bring the ideas. Then you're changing those ideas to goals. Those goals are coming into master plan. Master plan is turning into action plan. That's basically the structure of that process. You did this one. Ideas are visioning session. This one, now your first step, which let's say you did over here. And then on the master plan, this is your goal. You did that too. Now you're going to do the action plan on this thing. Okay. So let's start brainstorming. What are the things that you need to do to start increasing your membership?
I need to just take you back for 1 second here. So I think what Anthony said is very correct. When we did the visioning, we went by heart, and we all have big heart. We just come up with this 25 members. We did not go back and say, okay, what happened in the past? Is 25 members sustainable or not? Because looking by the past, 25 members is triple what we did for the last 10 years.
Okay.
So which is completely out.
Okay, that's fine. Then that is why what you are changing this idea to the goal is so important. Goals need to be realistic. They need to be achievable.
Yes.
And there should be metrics, measurable. We need to. So if this is too much for you, if it is not 25 is too much for this club, maybe it is 15 your ideal number. But during the visioning, we just go around the table and ask everybody, what is the optimum number of members do you think this club has?
And that was the question.
Yes.
So that's completely different than what we're actually facing right now.
Okay, then you need to revisit that, which is okay. Maybe at the time it was unrealistic, but you are more conscious now of how you need to tackle this. Then say, what is the realistic number for our club? What was it in the past? You bring out the information, and then let's talk according to the job we want to do, according to our priorities, the workload we have. What is the realistic number?
That's where the 25 came from.
Okay.
We need 25 to survive,
That's
Okay.
right.
to do the things
But
that we wanna do. That was the thinking.
Okay, that was the thinking. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm using up your time, but when you run a small company.
You're not using my time,
Okay.
because this is club's time, and you guys need to figure it
Like,
out.
in
Yeah.
a small, I run a small engineering company.
Yeah.
And we're about 30 people.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't say that my vision is to have 100 employees. My vision is to get this job done, this job done, this job done. How many people do I need to do that?
Okay.
That tells me how many employees I need. Same thing here. How many members do we need? The
Yeah.
members that we require to do the things that constitute our goals. If we can grow beyond that, given that it doesn't cost us money, we're all volunteers, great. But the minimum size, the optimum size is defined by what it is, our reason for existence. What are we here to do?
Okay.
Okay?
So if that is the case, and if 25 came out of that discussion, then you need to put that as a goal. Don't put it as one number, as I always say. Just say 22 to 25. So identify your minimum. Maybe it's not 20, maybe 23 you can survive to. We don't know.
But we've been, right now we're 14, but over the last 5 years, we've been floating between 16 and 20.
Okay.
So
How did
25
that-
isn't a big stretch.
Okay, so if that is the case, and if the club has a consensus on that, okay, then that is the number. And say from 22 to 25, again, go to ranges. So 22 to 25 will make us do what we are planning. If you cannot get there at all, then how are you going to make that equation? Then you're gonna reduce the work you want to do.
Well, yeah.
Naturally, because there will be no workforce to do it. So, but if these are very important for you, and if you want to do this, and if you need 22 to 25 people, how can we get that? Then you're going to work on that. And when in your action plan, you're going to say, maybe in the first month, organize a open house in the community. Yeah? Who is going to organize it? Nurdan. Nurdan will bring some options for place, for venues.
I just warn you that this is on record.
Yeah.
Some people think that it's gonna be there.
Oh, okay, I'll just pick that up. I'll start.
We can induct Nurdan, can't we, tonight?
Thank you for reminding. We're all recording. Okay, so I should watch my what I'm saying. Okay. Nurdan is going to come to our next club meeting with 3 venue options. This specific. Yeah, or in the next second meeting, not the first. Maybe he needs some time.
Who's giving the marching order for this? Because we don't have the marching order from anybody. Who's gonna tell Doug that you're doing this for us?
Okay, so your club needs to have a visioning impact leader. That is the process, part of the visioning process. When you've done your visioning exercise, when that is finished, then there is an action item, a homework I sent my clubs back, and they're gonna come back to me in a couple of weeks to let me know who that person is. It's not that I really care who that person is, but I'm just making them accountable, so they just come to me and say it. And I just put it in my records. It doesn't matter to me who they choose. But that person's role, job is keeping an eye on this action plan. And that person can run this session too.
We've got a team of 3, which is President Peter, this guy down here, what's your name? John, and Mike. So
Okay,
they were
perfect.
identified as the action team.
Action team, that's that you guys are gonna do it. It's good that you asked, now it is on the recording. Right? So that is, so you're gonna say, who wants to go out and look for venue? We have
No,
to ask.
Doug,
who
you are
will.
correct there, but I never know what action team means. So you are correct there. Now I know what she's talking about.
There.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
so put his name in charge.
okay,
No, it's 3 of us.
No, it's
You're
3 of
Doug,
them,
yeah.
3 of them. but-
okay. So, whoever it is, you just kind of need to, do you have the action plan template?
Yes.
From your, okay.
Yeah, it's in.
Yes.
So you're going to take that template and you're gonna start writing these. I'm just making it up. Maybe it doesn't even make sense to you guys, but just this is how it needs to go. So, okay, so this person is gonna come with 3 options. Who is interested in finding venues? Oh, yeah, Grace said, hey, I can kind of look some places for that. Okay, so by what time she's gonna come back? By April 4th, let's say. Okay, so that's on the action plan now. What else is gonna do? So then, if this is an open house, how are we going to let the community know about this? Our communication. Okay, so number 2,
Announcement.
prepare, yeah, an announcement. Who will be interested? Oh, you're going to be interested, perfect.
Firstly, I think we need to first define define the categories of membership we need.
Yeah,
So
this,
if we have a 100-year-old 25%, is it the kind of people we want? What age bracket?
you know
What's
what,
the category
you
that we
guys
need?
need to.
We defined it as
should
35 to
already
45
had
year
that
olds.
conversation. It is before coming to this. Those kind of things needed to be discussed in after your visioning, when you do your master plan and getting the consensus. So what is our target age? It's not in the action plan anymore. Action plan is, you say, I want to eat what do you call it? Some kind of chicken dish, and I'm going to give you the recipe. I'm not questioning anymore if you want your chicken or if you want beef or if you want pork. It is all decided. So I'm giving you the recipe. This is your recipe. And it is for chicken dish. If you had asked for beef, that it should have been discussed before, then I would give you a beef recipe. Does it make sense? If I simplify it
So
again.
if I can just fast forward a little bit
Yeah.
for the benefit of the newer ones.
Yeah.
So we have done all this.
Yeah.
And I got a copy. I emailed it to you, Mike, but I also got a printed copy if it's easier for you. And we had the plan. We had everybody going to do this and that. We had the announcement. We had the open house. We called it the Rotary Showcase.
Beautiful.
We had, I think, 13 people there. At the end, we had them fill out a sheet as to what their feelings were, their interests,
Beautiful.
what areas they might be interested in. Of those, 2 or 3 weren't really practical to be members. But we had 11 that might have had potential. But where we fell down and where I was frustrated is we didn't follow up very well on those 11 people. And that is, I think, where the big hurdle is. I think we can find our way through this, and we can take the old stuff and update it.
Perfect.
But we
Put the
haven't been
follow-up.
able to get the follow-up.
Part of your action plan, though. Don't keep it separate. It is still under this goal.
Okay.
So if you are doing all this, your open house, you talk with them, you ask them to fill a form, maybe the ones that you wanted, follow up is the next action step. Then you're going to say, who will follow up with these guys? We have 8 potential people, and we need 2 people, 4, don't give it to one person, 4, they're gonna follow up with these people and we'll have set up an interview. That is still your action, because if you stop after that event, we don't know the steps. So action plan needs to have from A to until you finish that to reach it. Okay, so everything that you are now putting over there needs to be broken into an action plan with people assigned, with the time when that is going to be complete. If you go with this guideline, don't make 10 different action plans and try to find people, because it's overwhelming.
Well, I think one of the things we didn't do very well is we didn't follow up at the end of the 30 days and say, did you talk to the person? Because I tried to motivate the follow-up, send an email to each of the people. I copied on the email and introduced them to the person in the club who was involved with the thing they were interested in. And but somehow we just didn't get the traction.
No, even and every 30 days, even I wouldn't wait for 30 days. If April 4 is the date for me to come up with venues, I'm going to ask. Hey, it's April 4 or April 5th. Have you come up with some venues? Please communicate. Even if you do not have a meeting, this communication can
Thank
be
you.
via email.
Say that again, even if we don't have a meeting.
Yeah.
We have communication minute by minute over Messenger.
Yeah.
And what I hear from time to time is like, yeah, we all know what we need to do.
Yeah.
Oh, but we can't do it, we have to get the meeting in 2 weeks and then we'll
No.
decide it, like we're wasting our time.
No.
Yeah.
Communications,
Like,
either
let's
set up a
get it
WhatsApp
done.
group or set up a Telegram, there are so many other platforms that you can
We
kind of,
have minute by minute communication on our phones.
okay,
But I'm told, I have to announce this at a formal meeting,
no,
which is 2 weeks from now, and we'll vote, and we'll go to the other committees.
so everybody will have
There
this
is a
plan.
little bit of frustration between you
A
and
lot of
Nurdan.
frustration, not a
But-
little bit.
Okay, but
But we are here to learn, okay, so I think we should put the frustration.
Well,
What
okay,
didn't work in the past, we've
but
done
we
something
can't
new.
solve the
So-
problem if we don't acknowledge it, John.
We
We're not gonna
Maybe
solve it.
from here
You're
on
putting lots
out,
of people down when either one of you say something this way, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not, we all trying our best, we're learning new skills, let's,
Yeah, yeah.
let's,
yeah, and you know what, just leave the past in the past.
thank you.
Now this is a kind of a new experimentation you're gonna do. All these things are experimentation.
Yeah, and we have a new name, Nurdan right now. right?
Yeah, over here, see, I just, so it's on the camera. So, okay, so that is why it is, and do we do things the first time the best way? No.
No.
We're gonna kind of work on it, then we're gonna say, hey, you know what, last time we did it, but we had a little bit of a trouble. Okay, then maybe this time we're gonna try this way. So we're open to experimentation. And when you call it experiment, there is no failure. Experiments do not fail. Experiments bring improvement. Yeah, please, call it experimentation. Yes.
Now that we have a plan on the paper, which I've seen many, many times.
Yeah.
How do we get that to John Q. Public? And how do we get John Q. Public interested in joining Rotary?
Yeah? How would you do that?
You have any ideas
I
how
will.
how we could go to the community and?
Yeah, you can. You can. Even this visioning is a great tool. We're suggesting clubs to communicate with their communities. Just saying that. Woodstock Rotary Club last week had a visioning session, and we came up with top 3 priorities that will support our community the best in the upcoming year. And these are the things we're going to focus. Who would like to come and join us to be part of this impactful strategy?
Share it
Good
publicly,
idea.
that's what we say.
Of course, share it publicly.
Yeah.
Just be transparent.
Radio
We don't need
jingles.
to be, yeah,
Radio jingles.
But that's,
yeah, just share it because this works. When I hear it, for example, our priority this in our strategy is to support the. Give me
Community
something.
table, Rotary
Some-
community table, that's our project. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, just the one non-charity. What are you supporting? Give me just
The
one.
less fortunate people.
Less fortunate people. This is our focus, and as a club, this is at the top of our list, and we're gonna. Would you be interested in coming and helping us being part of this impactful activity?
But-
We need fresh ideas, we need fresh blood, please come and join. That open. Because, look, I'm a very new member. Let me tell you my feelings, and I don't know yours, you can share yours too. How I felt about Rotary when somebody came and asked me, invited me to come to my club, Hyde Park. I'm in London, Hyde Park. I said, just one thing. I'm not male. That is my understanding of Rotary before I joined. 2, I'm not a millionaire.
you know that? A
Millionaire.
Oh,
Millionaire.
okay, yeah.
I'm not a millionaire.
You're not the only one that's not a millionaire.
But this was my perception of, and I said, I don't think they will ever accept me.
Mhm.
That
I was
was
going to
my
propose for you.
perception of lack of knowledge about Rotary.
Yes. I was faced
This
with
is
that today.
me one example. I don't know if you had the same kind of, but this is how I felt. Back in Turkey, my family was Rotarian. They were more Masons and this and that, all the men in the family, no women.
Mhm.
And it was a very kind of top, high-end,
Prestige.
hard to reach place.
Yeah.
And they were all male.
So in Turkey, the dogs have women?
Maybe they do now, but at my childhood,
Oh, okay.
I mean, they just go to these meetings and they don't even talk about it when they come back.
Yeah.
It's a secret thing.
But,
So that is the perception, and we sometimes do some community events and join some festivals or something in my club, and we just say, what do you know about Rotary? I don't know. So many people. But if we do not communicate,
Yeah.
They don't know.
You see, when I first became interested in Rotary, it was through Doug.
Okay.
Doug had spoken at a men's breakfast in church.
Yeah.
And he spoke about healing little hearts in India. Well, that was the nail in my coffin for joining Rotary.
There you
And
go.
so I followed it up. And
You mean
and I
that,
followed it up, at that time, I followed it up with 3 C's that I concocted for my own benefit, and I passed it along to the club.
There you go.
To become a good Rotarian, you have to have care, commitment, and concern.
There you go. There you go. I'm working on the international committee in my club now in Somaliland, mother and daughter literacy. For example, we talk about this in one of the community events in our area, and there were women get up for that. And they said, somebody said, I can't be a member, she said. And we said, why? She said, I don't have money to be a member. See, again, that is coming as a bit. But she said, I would love to help you for that women and mother and daughter literacy. That is how critical. So it touches people's hearts if we communicate. So bring your voice out. I don't want to take all of your night over here, but I hope this kind of gave you an idea of how each thing can be tackled and put it in a measurable and doable and realistic goals, and then taking actions, and as you go, put a check, and move to the other one.
And what I would like to point out though, I mean, we have a number of goals, and by the way, in my mind, the job of a good leader is once we set our vision, he or she has to know that vision and memorize every item. I have.
Yep.
I can
Know
list
it
the
by
items.
heart.
By
By
heart, they have to become second nature to you.
Yeah.
They have become being trusted.
Yeah.
So, you cannot execute all those plans at the same time. So if I say, goal number 1, it's gonna be John and Grace. Goal number 2, Grace and John. Goal number 3, Grace and John. Eventually you run it. If everybody has 10 tasks on their plate,
No.
they will accomplish nothing.
No. And we talk about that in our meeting in the Zoom. You want to repeat that a little bit? Why are you bringing that up?
Yeah.
Okay. So, if there are 12 things, because there are 4 categories on the visioning, the making an impact, engagement, expand our reach, and increase our adaptability. Then you have foundation, and then you have fundraiser. 6 areas you guys voted on. And we said top 3. 6 times 3. From the visioning session, 18 ideas came out. So that those 18 ideas, if they are changed into goals, now you have 18 things to do. You cannot do that.
No.
But this needs to be done in 3 years anyways. This doesn't need to be done next month. It is just the kind of spreading that and going with it. So what I'm saying is, I explained this to you in the, this can be a little bit of a work, but this is the impact. But when I'm talking about this, take only your membership. Membership has 3 top priorities from your vision. Yeah? And then when you talk about that, this is impact, less impact. I always trip on this thing, and I'm not falling, but one day I think I will. This is increasing impact. When you look at this 3 or 4, whatever your top priorities, then you need to decide on this impact axis. Let's say number 1 is just doing a community event. Number 2 is going back to data and understanding your optimum thing. Now, whatever those 3, 4 is, just put them on a post-it, and according to the amount of impact they will make, just place them. You're gonna say, oh, this one will be the highest impact for the membership. If we do this, this will be the highest. Oh, if we just, so this is our really highest impact. But if we do this one, it will have an impact, but not as much as. Then on the scale, put it on the less impact side. So when you place those, now it is the readiness part, because we want to make some things, but we have to be ready to do those. If we're not ready, we cannot do that. Then you're going to look at each of these, this high impact guy, are we ready to do it? Our system, our workforce, is it something that we can do right away? Let's say that community. Okay, then move this, post it onto this quadrant where it is readiness is positive. Yes, we can. So once you distribute these, maybe 2 of them will be moved up here. Maybe this one is less impact, but we are ready. You can move it over here. This is less impact and we really do not need that. You can put it there. Whatever you end up in this quadrant is the ones that you're going to go for first, because it will make an impact. It's on the positive side, and it's in the high readiness quadrant. It's on the plus side. Hi.
She's our fish fry
Director,
coordinator.
coordinator.
So this is how you can decide among these 3, 4, which one is really you need to start with. And if you do this with engagement, if you do this with expanding our reach, and if you do this, all the other ones, everything over here will be something to look at. Then you're going to do another one, taking this area from each category. Because then you need to decide, is the engagement one important or the membership one is important? Does that make sense? Okay, yeah. So then when you do that analysis, at the end, you will have just a handful of maybe top 3 that you can start working with. Maybe one will be from membership, one will be from engagement, one will be from the other. And that's the priority. And then you're going to take that one and create your action. That is how you can narrow down all those lists of options. I explain this to every club after I do my visioning session. Not in the visioning session, it's too much. But when they write all their 18 lists, then they just come and say, where are we going to start? Okay. Let's do the impact and readiness matrix to identify which ones we are ready with a high impact.
Thank you.
What I would note there is that for every one of those tasks, there has to be a person assigned to champion that task. If no one, if everybody's responsible, nobody's responsible.
No, for those priorities, the high impact and ready ones, then choose a champion for each. And that champion will create a team of 2, 3 to go after that. That is the easiest way to tackle this, guys. I mean, it is not easy and lazy stuff, guys. But this is how it works. And it works if you do the work.
I have a suggestion.
Of course.
You can come back for the next 3 or 4 meetings here and get all this going and organized for us.
You can do it.
Actually,
You can do it because now you get the idea.
seriously, what I'd like to do at one time, if you can find the time to speak about the difference between managing a club, following procedures, establishing policies. How do you lead that? How do you manage a project, a specific project that happens in real time? If we were to decide, for example, should we have our meetings on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, we could argue that for a year. It doesn't matter. And when we say, yeah, it should be actually Thursdays, okay, fine. Nothing's lost. But if we say, shall we argue for the next 3 months whether next week's event should be this way or that way, we miss the boat.
Mhm.
And things have to happen in real time. Things that happen in real time cannot be managed by consensus. Somebody has to make a decision, and that could be the wrong decision, but it's better than no decision.
Well, you made the decision actually, you passed that.
Thank you, but
That stage is passed
So we're
now.
gonna open the floors for like the question Q&A.
Okay.
And there is a timer in here, so only 5 minutes allowed between asking the question and answering it, okay?
Okay,
So,
perfect.
here we go. Anthony, you start.
Yes,
A follow-up to Mike's
Yeah.
last thing. I think number one.
Can't
isn't
hear you-
it
can't
very
hear you,
important that
yeah.
we first
Speak up,
identify-
speak up.
speak up.
I said, isn't it very important that we first identify what processes do we, you mentioned something about the SOPs.
yes.
So isn't it very important that we first identify what processes do we have in place?
Yeah.
Do we have processes for engagement?
Yeah.
Do we have processes for management or financials?
Yeah.
What are the processes?
Yeah.
We identify those processes because I think one of the things that is lacking, because this question that Mike asked or his last comment that the difference in managing a club. I think we need to first identify what do you think about first identifying all our processes, then we now define those processes based on our peculiarity. How do we go about that?
Very good question. I wouldn't spend time just taking another 6 months to write processes and procedures.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that shouldn't be. Now is the right time to write those as you go through the process.
These are called SOP, standard operating procedures,
Yeah.
and we write them all the time.
You
for our
will,
clients.
you will, but you cannot, the best way of writing standard operating procedures is as you are doing the job. Because as you're doing it, you're just taking a note. So
Yes.
for this thing, we did this. And after that, you can put it in a format, you can make it look good.
There
And
they are, and he'll get them when he gets inducted.
perfect. So you can revisit those and say if there is anything now we did differently and we really want to go forward with a different. Standard operating procedures need to be reviewed
Mhm.
continuously. One time it is right, the next time you may find a better way of doing it. So you need to update your procedures. So they're not static documents. This is a living, that's what I love about this job.
We
It
have
is
been
all
doing this, by the
living.
way, for Air Canada, we've been doing this for the last 20 years.
Yeah,
So we design a procedure,
yeah,
we code it in the software,
yeah,
but then we monitor the process, does it still work a year later?
Exactly.
No, we have to rewrite it.
yeah. But as you go through it, for example, how to bring new members is a first procedure. Now, as you're going through this, test it. Is this way, really, can we put it as a standard process? Did it work?
Yeah. And that's my question, do we have actually an existing process?
Maybe
for
they
the-
do.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so
Look at
is it-
those.
how do we are we monitoring that? So you mentioned something, but you didn't use, I'm just using the word audit. So
Yeah.
periodically, how do we audit that process? So
Yes.
the last visioning meeting, was it in line with the processes, that the existing processes we have? And if it is based on the current situation, we need to update our processes. We always have revisions for processes
Exactly.
and
It
procedures.
should be an ongoing, and Doug said they have it, so I would really invite looking at those.
Mhm.
And I don't know if this is at the club level work or if it is at the board level work. One or the other, you guys can decide. It can be a kind of a board level, and board can present it after they do it to get the communicated, even if it is not approval. So, yeah, that's a very good point. Okay.
One more question. We'll turn it around. Anybody have one more question? Alright, thank you very much, Patty.
This time, we would like to thank you for coming
Oh, you're more than welcome. I'm so happy I joined you.
and